Okay, so the cavity, you understand, it will result from the disappearance of the evaporated rock. And then the pressure of the evaporated gases inside the cavity will try to expand the cavity by the pressure to every direction.
Okay.
So eventually the cavity will reach size of roughly 100 meters in diameter, because it is in granite rock and 150 kiloton.
Okay, the buildings were 208.
Yes, so what I'm trying to explain to you see, because the cavity is surrounded by the two layers of the crushed rock. The immediate one is called the crushed zone, and the next one is damaged zone. So, and when the cavity expands, the crushed and damaged zone will expand also. And when they encounter the foundation of the tower, they will expand by the tower body upwards.
Now, the buildings were 208 feet on the side. They were square. And you're talking about a cavity that's actually larger than 208 feet across, right, in diameter. You're talking about a cavity.
Yeah, you see, but the problem is that in ideal case, the cavity should be round. But because nothing is ideal in reality, when the nuclear charge is positioned close to the tower foundation or close to the Earth's surface, the form of the cavity will not be ideally round. It will be like elliptic.
Okay.
Like, for example, like an egg form with a sharper end facing upwards.
Right.
Because the different resistance of material, everything goes by the way of least resistance as usual.
Yes.
And because towards the Earth's surface and towards the tower, the resistance of materials is less than to any other direction, because to any other direction there is a solid granite rock. But towards the tower there is in a sense of resistance of material, the resistance is less. So everything goes by the way of least resistance. That's why the form of the cavity, the horizontal radius will be decreased, but the vertical radius will be expanded. So it will not be round already, it will be like egg form. So the sharper upper end will expand by the tower body. And that is the picture. So the crushed zone in my calculation could reach up to like 300 meters from the Earth's surface by the tower body. And the damaged zone maybe 350 meters. So, and the remaining 50 meters, the very, very top of the tower, it was because it was very far from the nuclear explosion. It remained undamaged. This means neither crushed zone nor damaged zone could reach it. That's why eventually the tower would be reduced to this state. The first 300 meters it will be like microscopic powder. Then the next 50 meters it will be damaged into small pieces like debris. And the last 50 meters it will be undamaged, heavy and solid. So the heavy top under the gravitational forces will fall down, and it will scatter the dust and the debris until it falls down and reach the surface of the Earth. So that's what we can see in the TV.
Well, when I look at the what's often called the collapse, but obviously it's not a collapse of the buildings. They're turning into, the floor by floor they're exploding from the top down. I don't quite understand, and this is what I really am interested in hearing you.
You see, in my opinion, because I don't know much about this, I know about the existence of the nuclear devices under the World Trade Center. Yeah, this I can confirm and I can swear to God that I know. But when it comes to the explanation of the mechanics, I am just trying to guess only. I can be wrong. But in my opinion, those what appears to be explosions, like squeeze of some dust from the tower sides when the top was falling down, I don't think that they were actually explosions. I think they were just some mechanical processes, maybe some pockets of the air pushed by the pressure from upwards. I think it's in some of the footage before it could be the dust enveloping the building becomes too dense, you can actually see the red and red-orange explosion taking place on a floor before it's enveloped in dust. I mean, there's something very dramatic taking place, and it appears
to be taking place one floor at a time, or one group of floors, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 or maybe 4 at a time, and the buildings are being destroyed from the top down in a very methodical sequence. My presumption, Dimitri, has always been that if nukes were involved, that we're talking about mini nukes that were stationed throughout the height of the building. But what you're saying is there was a massive nuclear explosion well below the sub-basements, and therefore I'm having a problem with how that cause, this massive explosion in the sub-basement, can bring about the effect of, at the top of these buildings, more than 400 meters above the ground level, when you're talking about an explosion way beneath the sub-basements, can possibly cause the building to be blown apart from the top down.
You see, let's go one by one. The first of all, because I heard also this idea about the mini nuclear devices which were allegedly placed in equal intervals along the tower body. I don't believe that. I will explain to you why. The first of all, every nuclear explosion will produce electromagnetic pulse. I think everybody knows this.
Yes.
So if you explode the nuclear device above the Earth's surface, it will be noticeable by the people. First of all, it will burn all electronics by the electromagnetic pulse. So it will interrupt all the communication, it will spoil all the video cameras, all the photo cameras, all electronic watches, everything.
Everything is controlled by computerized components, or even any electrical device. Will it take out all the electrical devices? Yes, I guess it will.
Yeah, the electromagnetic pulse will just destroy everything around.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, but the problem is that in reality we didn't see that any electronic device were destroyed during the tower collapse. That is the proof that there were no electromagnetic pulse.
Well, there were complaints by the firemen and policemen that their communications went out, that they weren't able to use their cell phones or other communication devices.
But the cell phones, that's another story, because the cell phones, they have the communication repeaters in the tower. So when the tower collapsed, the communications were interrupted by the logical reasons, not because of the...
Okay, that's a nice point.
Yeah. So, but if there were electromagnetic pulse, it will not make any selective damage. It will just destroy everything.
Yes.
Including video cameras.
And you're saying that's why one of the reasons for the blast being so deeply embedded in the rock.
Yeah. So, but when the nuclear explosions happens deep underground, you can't notice electromagnetic pulse because it will be absorbed by the rock.
All right.
So. That's fine.
Does that in any way, however, explain how the building can be exploding from the top down if the device is...
Yes. So in my opinion, the building were not exploding. They were just simply pulverized by the crushed zone, by the pressure wave of the nuclear explosion. Because the nuclear explosion underground will develop the pressure wave. Because when the evaporated gases inside the cavity will try to expand the cavity, they will create the breaking point first. And after the breaking point, there will be a pressure wave created. And this pressure wave will be sent by the vector of the tower body. So, and this pressure wave is responsible for the pulverization of the tower for maybe 300 to 350 meters, but not in its entirety, because it has a limited power.
Right. So you have segmented the damage that would be done to the first 300 meters, say, and then you have a lesser damage for the next 50 and no damage for the last 50, roughly speaking, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So that when it's all... But wouldn't that mean that the first 300 meters would disappear first?
The problem is that the speed of the pressure wave was very high. So I guess, I'm not quite sure, but I guess it traveled like maybe 400 kilometers per second.
Yes.
So the tower was pulverized almost momentarily, just in a split of a second.
By the shockwave being transmitted through the steel structure and the concrete and all that upward?
Yes. That's what I think. So it was, I mean, the time was simply too short. If let's say that it took a few seconds, then yes, it will start to be disintegrated from beneath. But because it was momentarily processed, means instant, So then what we can expect that under the gravitational forces, the top tower will begin to fall down.